Hi there, welcome back. Well, I think the progress is pretty evident. We've gone quite a long way since the last time. It's taken me quite a while, as you can imagine, to get this thing cleaned up, but I'm happy with the result. This thing literally went into a bath with warm water, lots of washing up liquid, let it sit for a long time. And then it took a lot of scrubbing with a little brush, with toothbrushes, you name it. This thing saw it all. And the result is actually a lot better than I expected after having witnessed what this thing looked like originally. I had this nightmare vision of what this knob looked like when I first got it. Same with this guy over here. But it's looking very, very different now. And if you are very, very observant, you will note that perhaps I was a little bit too efficient in my cleaning. Yes, all the markings there are gone. All the markings. These were decals and they washed off, but I had no choice. I really just had to clean it, and I'll worry about putting those labels back on with decals as soon as I get some paper. I was pretty careful with these guys over here because decals won't work here. I also lost part of the logo, but again, because that's on that metal surface, it'll be easy to reproduce. Anyway, after the cleaning, I got onto the speaker, redid the foam on the speaker, cleaned out the contacts, put the speaker back in the box, and then of course soldered it all up. And this is where we are right now. It's actually still not complete because I haven't put the back on. I've been doing some testing just to make sure everything is the way I left it last. These things do tend to go wrong sometimes when you mess with anything. Something else goes wrong. But I'm happy to say that it all fit in rather nicely. When fitting this radio in, you have to be very careful because you've got stuff that goes off at the front. It has to come through properly, like that switch over there. At one point this thing wasn't fitting properly and I didn't realize the switch was actually stuck back there. Again, the specific or the pointers have to come through properly over here, and sometimes one does get them stuck, like one of these got stuck and I couldn't figure it out. You have to be very, very careful when you're putting this thing through. And it's finally fit properly, and the top end is what holds it down. And also, of course, the screws at the back. There were two at the bottom there. There were another two here with behind which hold the antenna up. And that's another thing to look at. The antenna, if you recall, was in quite a bit of a state. That thing had to be soldered there. It was completely loose. And then it was just a matter of cleaning it. And it now fits perfectly in there, where it should. And this is rather long, and I've noticed that there's just a little bit of a bend on the last two elements of the antenna. Otherwise it's perfect. So all I need to do now is put the back cover on, flip it around and give it a good test and say goodbye to the project. Well, not really. There are a few things that I still need to get. That back cover for the cable, for the mains wire. I think a friend is actually getting a couple made. He needs it for his as well. So he's going to send me one when he gets that done. Same applies to these knobs. There are two missing. He's also getting them 3D printed, so maybe we'll be able to finish this completely when they arrive. The other thing was the antenna tuner. That was in pretty bad shape, and I managed to get that sprayed in loco. I just taped everything up and it sprayed perfectly. I've got this metal spray, which actually results quite nicely. The other thing was the FM dial lamp was burnt. I actually took the FM one, or rather I took the one from the middle display here, put it underneath just to make sure it was that. And then I messed around with an LED and put an LED in there. And of course I had to put a resistor in there. That's that blue and white that you see there. There's actually a resistor, current limiting resistor. And it's working now. It's not perfect. It's too white. It should be more yellowy. But I'm actually hoping to get some lamps, original lamps, and put it back in here. And then they'll all look uniform. So let me put the cover on. Let's see what it looks like. And this is what the back looks like. That's pretty amazing. That is still missing, obviously. Other than that, this baby's complete. I'm going to need to build some sort of adapter for these antennas, because I do like using the external antenna, the mini whip. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that, but I'll find a way. This thing is perfect. Cleaned up really nicely. What else can I say? Sometimes these ugly ducklings are the ones that give you the most satisfaction, because you see the most dramatic change when you do the cleanup. Even though this is not perfect, no, those two are missing. There's a sort of a warp on the grill here, which I think probably resulted from it being in direct sunlight. I'm not sure. So there are a few things on here that that you can actually see is not mint. Like, in fact, on this, if you look from the edge, you can see sort of a patchy. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but I can. This had a lot of grease on here. I had to be very careful how I cleaned it so I didn't lose the all the what would that be? That would be not silkscreen, but something similar. All the markings on it, that would have been rather drastic. The ones I have lost aren't a problem. I'll just get some decal and put it on when I receive it. As usual, I've got to wait for a couple of weeks for the stuff to arrive. But the fact that this thing went from what it was to what it is now is very, very gratifying. And it's given me a lot of satisfaction. And I've learned a hell of a lot in this one. I'd never worked with a double conversion receiver. This thing it's got two IFs, 2 megahertz and 460. There's one thing I have not been able to get working quite well, but it's not the radio's fault. I've been trying to add the carrier so that I can actually decode SSB, single sideband. You put a carrier in at the IF frequency, twiddle it a bit, and it's pretty difficult because this thing's got a very good AGC, in other words, the automatic volume control or gain control. So when you actually tune in to one of those Donald Duck voices, you have to be careful what size or what amplitude of carrier you're actually trying to feed into here. And I've been trying using that socket at the back. I know it's pin 9 of the socket, but without having that Zusatz 2000, whatever it is, it's not that easy. But that's not the point. Let's do a bit of demo. I'll be doing the demonstration on various bands, probably at different times of the day, because obviously this thing is the shortwave bands, especially, and the AM has different times of the day when it's most active. So we'll see how far we get. All right, let's get going.
Quando ganham, como costuma dizer, aparecem muitos pais para a criança. Quando perde, normalmente o treinador fica sozinho e normalmente vai para casa, cá está, para estar junto.
faz apenas pontos. O futebol com o Porto, entretanto, perde o perder. Perde o caminho.
الإذاعة الوطنية
صوت رافق الشعب الصحراوي
ولا يزال
Óleo e outros inflamáveis. Lembre-se, uma floresta segura depende de todos nós.
ديال البذور ديال الفلاحه في شهر شتنبر وشهر اكتوبر، وكتقتصر هاد الزراعات على بعض المناطق.
impedir el aborto en todo Estados Unidos.
Bien, ¿no? Y llegas al Barcelona, intentas jugar bien y la verdad es que no es.
السماع الصوفي أحمد الخليع.
an upheaval for the global investment industry.
Well, very simple. If you're investing, you want to go towards right now. It's the only bright light on the map. You literally cannot go around the world and find. Do well. The world, China's doing well, so it does away with this myth that somehow China gained if the U.S. loses.
İbrahim Teyze'den arkadaşlarına
yanına sokulan Yasin vardı.
Les autorités sanitaires.
Pentru perioada iunie-august 2020, managerii societăților din
Radio Total. Ha firmado Ioan Scurtu. Las ilusiones de Titulescu se hicieron añicos en el verano de 1940.
Bueno, pues ahora parece que se van a contar todos los defectos al jugador.
Donc, l'idée qui de la population actuelle a été arrêtée et reconvertie en poulailler.
Qui ont imaginé un renforcement des populations.
بنفسكي بأصل ظاهراني بيض الله ينور
The white audience and the black audience of the cultural heritage of Africa through its music.
Al menos justo. Pero alguna venta de algún jugador, llámese Todibo o quien sea, porque, insisto, la principal cause de régression était la destruction de l'espace dans les zones.
De creșterea preților în perioada.
¿Vale? Porque 50 serían solamente el traspaso de Artur contando amortizaciones más.
Para la humanidad. Aunque la moda viene cambiando año tras año y a menudo el hombre cae.
Capel, gracias también. Buenas noches.
Manager der Ferienhäuser angestellt, wodurch Sie neben der Miete monatlich noch weitere 500 Yuan bekommen können.
Торговые услугами в Китае. В комплексной выставочной зоне будут продемонстрированы интеллектуальные приложения, связанные с технологиями связи 5G.
Ahí, Radio China Internacional en Beijing. Y consignó secretario general del Departamento Ministerial quant à la Asia Radio Romania Internacional.
Well, folks, this is it. We've come to the end of another restoration project. This one has been quite an experience. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a hell of a lot of stuff. I had never worked on a double conversion receiver before with 2 IFs. So that was a first. I have worked on radios that were as dirty as this one. So that was not a first, but it's always an experience. And this one's a keeper. I think this is probably the radio with the best reception that I've ever had in this house. So it's going to stick around. And maybe it's going to probably have a few more members of the family joining it soon. We'll see. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping me company through this project. If you enjoyed that, please click like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can do so on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now and stay safe.